Oh, so it's not on camera right now.
What's that?
Is it on camera right now?
Yeah.
I really like Italian foods.
Cotton candy.
All dressed, dill pickle,
Junk food.
Doritos barbecue,
Fettuccine Alfredo.
popcorn,
O. Henry's, Mr. Big's, Crispy Crunch, all of them, really.
ketchup, cream and bacon, Doritos hot chili.
Tacos.
My favorite thing I miss eating.
Everything I missed eating was pizza.
And potatoes. Hawaiian.
Chocolate.
Spicy food.
Pasta.
I really love chips.
I spent Christmas without eating, so yeah, that sucked.
Me too. I did that.
Like turkey was the worst thing because
family-
it was like a freaking huge
My family ate right in front of me.
How did you feel when you first got the Crohn's?
I was kind of worried, and when I first got diagnosed, like they offered me two treatment options straight away, either Tufie or prednisone,
Yeah, me too.
and I went with Tufie because it was safer for me.
When I figured out I had Crohn's, I had like no idea what it was.
I just heard the word like 2 times before that, so I didn't know nothing about it. I was really scared.
I had so many questions. I at least had like 3 pages full of questions.
Yeah, I was in the hospital for like a couple months before they even arrived on Crohn's. We found out that just that week there were 5 others who were just recently diagnosed with Crohn's.
I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old.
What? I was like diagnosed last year.
That was when I was 4.
I was diagnosed last year.
Yeah, me too.
At first I was like really scared because he said like that's why you have a tummy ache and all that, and it's like kind of complicated. But after I like understood what he meant and I knew it could get fixed and I could like live a normal life again.
When anybody else first learned how to do the Tufie, did they bring in that little dummy for you guys?
Yeah.
The nurse told me, oh, you can do that. I was like, are you crazy? I would never do that. Like, I don't know how people do it.
Well, usually, sometimes when I get the tube in, sometimes I just take big mouthfuls like this, and then I swallow them.
Just to get past like the nose, it like slides because sometimes it's like hard.
At first I was crying. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I was like, I can't do this. And then all of a sudden the girl was like, no, like, come on, like you can do it. And I was like, okay, before I leave, it's gonna be in my face anyways. So I was like, all right. So I just started going, and there was like, oh my god, I was like so scared.
I used to drink water at the same time, and drinking water made it feel like softer going down.
Yeah, like I was shopping like the day I got it, and I had this girl come up to me and go, excuse me, do you get oxygen? I was like, yeah, no.
Somebody asked me if it was a transformer strapped to my back.
This is the first time I see other people who has Crohn's.
It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
I'm Mackenzie O'Quinn.
My name's Nicholas.
Tiffany McPhee.
My name is Daniel.
It's Juliet.
I'm Holly Buchanan.
Elliot Pitter.
My name is Jenny Monroe. I had Crohn's for 9 years.
8 years.
5 to 6 years.
Since December 2010.
I was diagnosed last year.
4 months now.
I have my Crohn's just for like not even 1 year.
When they finally decided I had Crohn's, they said I could do One of two things I could go on.
Something like a dietary treatment.
Or there's steroids.
Steroids, and so it kind of stunts your growth, and it makes you like wicked hairy. I was like only 9 years old, and I wasn't ready to start shaving.
I picked tube feeding because it looked less scarier.
The tube feed is a tube that goes down to your stomach.
And I was nervous because it was such a big adjustment to me.
I was really underweight. I was like 80 pounds and I weighed, I was 5'6".
I forgot the feeling of fun, and that's like really a big problem. I think that tube feeding gave me back my fun. I do love to have so much fun.
I'm Dr. Tony Otley. I'm one of the pediatricians at the IWK, and I look after children that have been diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
My name's Jennifer Haskett. I'm a pediatric clinical dietitian at the IWK, and I work with the gastroenterology teams.
It's a lot for somebody to take in, so I think we're conscious of not wanting to overwhelm people, overload them with too much information in the first go. The discussions are, what is this inflammatory bowel disease that we've now said you have? How did you get it? Then we talk about what the treatment options are.
I think that it's not surprising that people are feeling stress or worry about what they're going to go through, but I think they should be reassured that they have a whole team of people here to help them.
First day I went to go get my tube, I was really upset and I'd been crying and I was, I don't want to do this. It was just extremely overwhelming for me because I didn't know exactly what was coming.
There's a lot of unknowns. They've got a lot of questions. One of my jobs and the other members of the team is to answer those questions for them.
Well, knowing that it's either I'm going to walk out one day with a tube, or knowing that I'm going to walk out and I'm going to be on steroids is a really scary thought to me, because I didn't want to have a puffy face from steroids and acne and gaining a ton of weight, but also with the tube feed, I'd gain a lot of weight and I'd have a tube.
Often I'm asked the question, if this was your child, what would you choose? So if I'm comparing steroids or enteral nutrition, I think the benefits of enteral nutrition outweigh the steroids. I have to be careful not to demonize the steroids, because ultimately many people through the course of their lifelong Crohn's disease may need to have steroids. I've just seen the incredible impact of enteral nutrition, how they feel better.
I wasn't really sure what I was going to do at first. Since prednisone has a higher percent in it, I could have got it that one time and obviously face the side effects of getting a puffy face, gaining weight, having acne. I really didn't want to do that, especially because I was in high school. But also walking around school with a tube was something that absolutely scared me to death.
A lot of kids have that fear. A lot of parents have that fear, which is the right choice to make.
I had to choose one or the other, so I just kind of was okay, I might as well try the healthy way. And if it's going to help me, then, why not?
So if you met with the physician and you heard you had Crohn's disease, then you would come and talk to me, and I would talk to you about what tube feeding involves, what that looks like, how you might feel on the tube feeds, what the tube is providing. Look at what I think your nutritional needs are. Based on that, I figure out how much of the formula that you'll get through the tube, and then we figure out how that will be delivered over the 20 hours. And so it's pretty amazing when you can use food and nutrition to heal your body, and sometimes we can use nutrition to put Crohn's disease into remission.
If it does work, then that's amazing, because you have no side effects, nothing else gets interrupted in your body.
Once they make the decision, then we would arrange for them to come back and have all the teaching that they need. They come in and meet with the nurse.
A date is booked with myself for a whole day of teaching and education. They are going to learn how to measure the tube. So hands-on, learning how to measure the tube and how long to put the tube in.
Is it gonna hurt when I put it in?
It will be a very, very weird feeling. It might be one of the weirdest that you've felt, but I've heard people say that it doesn't really hurt, it's just very weird.
I just kind of sucked it up and I was well, I'm gonna leave here with the tube in my face, so I might as well just put it down right now and get it over with. So they gave me the option of whether like they could put it down for me or I could do it myself. So I said that I want to do it myself so that I can like control like how fast I want it, how slow I want to put it down, like whether I want to just yank it out, whatever I want to do, like I have the control.
The advice that I would give families coming in to have this teaching done is that it is not difficult to learn how to do tube feeding. As a matter of fact, when a child is of a certain age, I encourage them to learn how to put the tube in themselves.
I thought it was going to hurt and that I thought it was just going to be awful, but it wasn't as bad as I thought.
I remember it was on a Monday, then the first day I came to school with the tube.
When I woke up in the morning, I felt like horrible.
I've noticed kids asking their parents about like what is in her nose, and the parents would get embarrassed.
It was like if I was living in a gray world.
I just got prepared. Like I just wrote down some questions that I would be expected to be asked.
I think I probably cried.
Like why do I have a tube in my nose, and how long do I have to go on tube feeds?
They just kept asking over and over again, why do you have that in your nose? Why do you have that in your nose?
I was so nervous about what people would say to me.
Like how does it feel? And then I'll just be prepared for it.
Like people just like stares at you like.
I did a presentation at my friends, at my class to show what I was gonna have. It helped a lot.
When I came in, everybody just kind of stared at me, but after a while, they didn't notice it either.
Would my friends think of me differently because I had a tube?
School knows what I have now because I had it since a pretty long time at that school, and I feel more comfortable now.
But then when it came to realize that after a week or two, I was just Holly, and they all looked at me the same, and I was still their friends.
1 week and I was used to it.
My friends were really supportive.
The very first day I got my tube, I walked into Lululemon and I bought a sweater.
I had kind of talked with my friends.
Friends that are there for you make the whole tube experience different.
Everybody actually thought it was kind of cool. Like I said, I was a transformer.
Me, it took like a week, and then I felt fun again.
Started getting my treatments when it really started to sink in, like this is gonna be like a forever thing that I'm gonna have to deal with. It made me sad, sort of, just to think that like I'm never really gonna get over this. Like things are gonna get better, but it's still gonna be there.
Like, I never thought I'd be able to go through it. Going into grade 10, I wasn't even 100 pounds. I wasn't even 95. I was like 93-ish. And so I was one of the smallest girls in my grade. But everything happens for a reason. Well, getting ready with the tube was like a different scenario because you had to make sure you had all your bags and all your tubes, and you had to make sure everything was like prepared. Like the first day of school was the hardest when I went in. Like I had told all my close friends that like what was going on, that like the next time they see me that I would have a tube.
Mentally, I'm a bit nervous about what it's going to be like when I go back to school. Because, well, I'm going to be walking around with this tube in my nose and everybody's going to be like, what happened to you over the weekend? I walked like I normally do. And then after that, I went to go find my friends. And, well, I don't remember a whole lot else about that day. It was kind of a blur. I just blanked it from my memory. I don't think it was bad, though.
I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna have a tube, like, they're not gonna want me to, like, go out with them, like, maybe they're gonna be embarrassed of, like, what I have going on with me. They were always asking me to come out, they were always, like, encouraging me to do things with them, and they were always extremely supportive. My friends played a major role in how I dealt with the tube.
The first week, word spreads around and people kind of know what's going on now. Everybody else starts to kind of warm up to it. It does get easier.
Walking into public, it's gonna be hard at first, but eventually you're just gonna walk around with a smile and you're just gonna be like, okay, like, I'm Holly, I have Crohn's, and I'm gonna walk around with a tube, and it's not gonna stop me from going out and doing what I wanna do.
It's really important to be open about your Crohn's and your treatment with other people, because then they can be more understanding and they can even help support you with what you're going through.
That's like it's a good thing to lean towards and like kind of strive for, is like looking in the positive direction instead of the negative one.
It does help you deal with like other challenges you have in life, because dealing with Crohn's is a big challenge, and once you've kind of sorted that out, everything else is a lot easier.
Yeah, it looks really bad at the beginning and you're thinking, oh, like this is gonna be the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Things can be so much worse. Like, it's really not as bad as you think it's gonna be. It made me realize how much like your family and your friends will mean to you, and how much it makes a huge difference when they're there supporting you. Having a tube made me a lot stronger. Like, I never thought I'd be able to go through it.
It does get easier once you tell more people about it. I guess I do feel like a survivor.
It doesn't make really a difference, it just makes you special.
I would tell them it's not that scary.
I can do like anything else anybody else can do.
You're supposed to never forget the feeling of fun.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what all comes in the tube feeding kit. So this is the charger. It'll charge up your pump for you. This is the pump itself. It's what actually takes the formula from the feed bag into your stomach. This is the day bag. It's for feeding during the day and to go in the backpack. And this is the night bag for feeding at night. The day bag is a lot smaller because you can refill it more often, and that way the formula doesn't sit for as long because you have that option during the day. It also fits in the backpack a lot better. Not all the pumps are the same. You might get something different from this, but the idea is still the same. So you turn the pump on and you select your rate. That's going to be how fast it pumps the formula into your stomach. If it's too fast, you'll start feeling sick and nauseous, but if it's too slow, you'll get hungry. These are the cans of formula. You might have something different than this though. I know I switched formula a couple times while I was doing tube feeding. This is the backpack. It's what you would carry around the day bag and the pump in for while you're tube feeding during the day. It's got a nice little Velcro thing to hold the bag, and a little pouch for the pump to go in.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do before putting the tube down is we always want to make sure that our hands are clean before we touch something that's already been sanitized. So the first thing that we're just going to do is we're going to wash our hands. So just with some like soap and some warm water. And so we're gonna want to make sure that everything's opened and ready to go. So we have all of our stuff basically open, but the last thing that we're gonna open is a tube because it's already been cleaned. And so we don't want to open it and have it lay around and get dust on it. We want to make sure we measure it so that we can get it into the correct spot in our stomach. So we're gonna have to start from the tip of our nose, and there's 2 little holes on it, on the tube. So there's the top one and the bottom one, because that's where your formula is gonna come out of it. And so you wanna measure from the second one. And so you want to hold it from the tip of your nose to the lobe of your ear. And then you want to find a spot between where your rib cages meet into a V and your belly button. And it goes right in the middle of there as to where it's going to stop. You want to make sure you're measuring with your back straight, like how you normally stand. You don't want to measure it bending down because then you're not going to get enough. So if I measure it this way and then I go to stand up, a bunch of it's going to come back up. So you want to make sure you measure it from from standing straight. And once you find that spot, you want to mark it with a marker. So you can grab a Sharpie, or that works the best. And you're going to mark that spot all around the tube. You're going to twist it and mark it so that you know that this is approximately about where you're going to stop. And so once you have it all marked, you're going to dip it into some ice cold water. And you want to dip it for 5 to 10 seconds. And after dipping it, you want to wrap it around your finger so you can get a curve in it so that it's going to go in easier. So your nose goes up and then it comes down. So if you have it straight, it's going to be hard to get around the curve in the back of your throat. So you want to have it wrapped so it's got an arch that it's easily going to go in. And so you want it to have an arch like that. So after it's all wrapped, you can dip it back in some water just so it's going to be smoother to go down your throat. And it doesn't matter what nostril you want to put it in. You can go in either or. And preferably if you're putting it down for 3 months, you have to take it out each time per month. That it'd be smarter to put it on one nostril this month, one nostril that month, so it doesn't irritate your nose. So once it's good and cold, that's when you can start putting it down. So you just slowly start. And so you want to just slowly put it down. And you can grab water. And so you just keep pushing. And once you reach your spot, you're just going to stop. So before you tape it, you're going to want to put on some barrier cream. And so before you put the cream on, it's easier if you just stick it around your ear. And it's just going to basically sit there. It's not really going to move much. And you just need a little bit of cream. And just a little bit on the end. And you can just put it about where you're going to tape it so that it doesn't irritate your skin as much. You don't need that much. So when you're taping it, it depends how much you want to use, but I like to use a clear tape so that you don't see it as much as having a white piece of tape on your face. And depending how big you want to make it, you just got to make sure that it's secure. And so you just want to cut some off. And I'm going to put this on right where I put my barrier cream on. So before we tape it or pen anything else, we're going to make sure that we have it in the right spot. So we're going to need a stethoscope and we're going to need a syringe. And so we're going to put this in our ear. And we want to pull this back into the 5 milliliter mark of just air. And we're going to want to insert it into the end of the NG tube. And what we're listening for is a popping noise. So we're going to hook it on and we have to put it right above our stomach. And we want to listen for a popping noise. So I'm just going to push it and listen for it. And the second check that we're going to do is we're going to check and see if it's in the right spot. There's another way we can do it. So before unplugging this, we can pull it back. And if you look, we're going to get some stomach fluid. You're going to get stomach fluid that's going to come out. And that's how you know that it's in the right spot. So we can just push that stuff back down. So now we have successfully put it into the right spot. And so we'll close it so that nothing comes out. And so we can just put this on because we're going to have to need to use it for next time. So we'll just make sure we keep that clean. And so the last thing that I do to ensure that nothing comes out is I take another piece of this tape and I'm going to tape this around a spot around the tube. Preferably a spot that'll hang close to my shirt. And so just to ensure that it's not going to come out or it's not going to get tugged out, and then I'm going to put a pin through it. So once it's held really tightly in, I'm going to put a pin. You can see how the pin's through it. And then I'm going to pin it onto my shirt to ensure that if it gets tugged, it's going to tug my shirt and it's not going to tug my tube. So there's no chance of it coming out now. And so I've now successfully put down a NG tube.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do when we clean the bag after the night of feeding, we just put it on the hook on your bungee cord, like whatever you have, and you want to run out the rest of the formula. Sometimes to speed things up is I'll just fill this full of warm water. We can just dump this. There, and then we can hang it back up, and now we can get some good clear water. And you always want to check too to make sure that there's no blockages. Sometimes that stuff does, for some reason it does kind of cake up sometimes. And if it does, I just take my fingers and I just move it, and then it'll just help to push it out. So what I do is I dump this and I just pick the whole thing up. Drain it all out. Okay, now we'll mix up our vinegar and water so we have the proper mixture. So it's 3 parts water to 1 part vinegar. So I just used an old milk carton. I'll just put in a cup of vinegar. Three cups of water. Once I have it all mixed up, I just give it a little shake around just to be sure everything's all mixed up well. Now the next thing we want to do is to lock down the tube, because if we don't, we will overfill this too quickly. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So what I do is I totally fill up the bag. And you get the vinegar now coming out of the end of the tube. Let it flow just a little bit to make sure you have all that you push all the water out. And once you have, I lock the wheel back down. And then what I would do is I would hang this up here. And let this sit for approximately 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes is up, we just hold on to this. I try to make sure this doesn't, leave it laying in the bottom of your sink in case it's dirty. But I just run this out a little bit. So what we can do now that we've sanitized everything, we can just take this off and we can just discard this down the drain. Put the lid down and put this all in a clean Ziploc bag. And then you just place it in the fridge. And that's all there is to it until next day when you go to use it again.